And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to EU League. It's game number 2, and it's Navi versus Cowana Gaming. Mostly UK players in this one, so good. We have fake British in here and full-on British in here. Hey.
I'm so offended.
I mean... Good day to me. How about we have a chat then about these two teams and the story between Navi and Cowana that have been going up against one another for the past year. And Yukin and then Cowana going through Challenger League to make it into EUL. And Yukin, that is the UK and Ireland nationals. How about we have a chat about these two teams? First up with Cowana Gaming, Jess. Technically are challengers in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, the recent change from having, you know, a bit of a support player, a bit of an IGL, they've gone the complete opposite. If that didn't work, why not bring in the freshest of gunners? They've brought in Benja, and well, his first game was enormous. You couldn't have a better debut than this man has, to the point where he's one of the top 4 rated players in all of EUL. That is a special debut.
And of course, on the other side, Navi, the experienced team, but their experience didn't help them much on LAN internationally. They need to learn still here.
They do need to learn, but in this fixture, they don't need to learn anything because all they do is win.
Oh.
All they do is win. I don't know if they're inside.
It's black and yellow, man.
It's black and yellow. That's exactly what it is. And you talk about Benja, but when you've got Doki leading the line,
oh please,
he can be the best player in the world on his day, and he's got a very smart pair of heads behind him with Nath and secretly pulling the strings from the back line. Honestly, Navi look like the team to beat.
Just marry him already. God, in love with him. Every day, Doki this, Doki that. Please.
It would be lovely.
It would actually be. You know what?
I spent a lot of time casting for Yukin as well, obviously, and watching that progression, the same as Tim and Ace, I kind of feel the same way.
Would you be the little spoon?
I'd be the little spoon.
Well, there you go. All right, interpret that however you'd like, ladies and gentlemen. One segment, though, we want to talk about is our head-to-head. We talk about these big players and what they have to offer. So, Fresh, who do you have prepared for us in here, both you and Jess?
It's obvious. We've got Doki, we've got
Oh,
Benja.
wow, what a surprise.
What a surprise.
Ooh, blowing
And
my mind.
The reason we wanted to highlight these two is just look how sensational they were in Playday 1. They both top fragged. They both had extraordinarily large EPPs. They played well. They were part of the opening kills a lot of the time. And particularly, I mentioned this in the kind of pre-show, Doki's survival rate is really what's changed so far this season.
Yeah.
Because he used to die quite a lot. He used to get a lot of entry kills, but also be refragged pretty quickly. He managed to survive in 7 rounds in the last game.
Yeah, it was excellent. Whereas on the other side, Benja, he had one of the lowest survival ratings, but he had the most kills out of anyone in Playday 1. In fact, he managed to reach, and there's a bit of a dispute about whether he reached 19 or 20 kills with the brand new kill system as to who finishes the kill, whether they get the kill or not. But he got the most kills regardless whether it's disputed or not. And he walks away with the fourth highest rating of Playday 1. Again, I can't remember another rookie coming in and having that much of a splash. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I've cast in my mind back all the way a couple of years, and I can't think of anyone. Yeah. Even though Milon and Blur... You think Dan?
Dan had a pretty big impact, I think, in his second Playday, and that we're talking like
29.
This is April 20, not even early April 2019. So it's been 2-ish years, but really having an intro like that, no matter who you are, that's really good. Even some of the top players in the entire region over its entire history could ever hit numbers like this, first Playday or not. But which map will we be on in this series? That is my question. Let's put it up on the screen. Again, 7 map pools, 6 are out, and 1 is left. We're going to go to Clubhouse that has had changes in the meantime. Navi removing Bank from it. Fresh, your thoughts on CH with Navi on attack?
I thought Navi might go to Bank, actually, just given the way they played it so well. They have some VODs on Cowana, but honestly, they feel comfortable. They've played Cowana on pretty much every map, so...
You say that, and I go to recent history for Navi, and they got slapped 7-1 on that map. Let's not forget.
There was no bar stock. It's not like it is today. That changes everything, Jess.
I'm not sure I'm going to agree with that little analysis, but what I can say is that they have shifted with their growth in international, play, and I'm trying to find reasons to find that 7-1 not as impactful.
The one thing that I like about Bank is it potentially moots individual performance because Bank is very team coordination based. You've got to do step 1, 2, 3.
They only get to go
Sorry,
to
not Bank. Sorry, Clubhouse. That's what I mean, Clubhouse. Sorry, I meant Clubhouse. So if you don't want Benja to drop 20, 19 kills, you make him form part of a team where he's got to do a load of jobs before he can go and get the kills.
We're putting a lot on the shoulders of a brand new rookie.
Yeah.
I do feel that. And I would hate also for me to like turn around and go, Benja had such a great day one and then not a great day two. So I hope all of the team steps up today, because whilst he had an enormous individual performance, it's a team game.
We'll have to see if Sloth can kind of step up as well in that position. That's kind of the expectation with the change in roles. Still a lot to unpack. It usually takes like 2-3 weeks for us to really gather the right information, as EUL is 9 Playdays, or 9 Playdays in general for each stage. So Fresh Jess, thank you very much. When we come back, we'll break things down, but first we actually have to get into the action. It's Clubhouse. We'll go up north to Germany. It's Hanover and Navi v Cowana. Ace Des, take it away.
Thank you very much, Milosh. It feels like a long time since I've been able to say that. Sat in the studio, missing last week, and now we're back, Ace. Buzzing about this. 2 UK teams, 2 UK boys. What more could you ask for?
Nothing, Des. My heart's not aching anymore. You're back.
Oh, you have become very kind lately.
Have I?
Yeah.
I've always been positive and kind.
Yeah, but very warm.
And my brand, it's what I do, Des. It's what I bring to the table.
He's a right monkey off cast, I tell you. He's a right evil little man sometimes, aren't you, Tim?
Nobody's going to believe that, Des. Just like nobody's going to believe that this is going to be a quick game. I've got a feeling that this could be a real big one. Could be a game of the day as we go. It could be heading all the way to those 12 rounds. I don't think either team is going to have it easy. Navi Cowana showing down on Clubhouse. They both know what each other is about. They've been playing each other for the longest time, despite those roster changes. They've been there, they've done that. Who is going to come away with the win today, though?
You do have to go back pretty far through history to see the last time that Cowana beat Navi. It's always been their kind of Achilles heel, the team that they've been able to dispatch for the most part. However, maybe some things are going to spice up today. It's a new season with new opportunities. And speaking of new opportunities, what a time to come up with some spicy bans if you're Navi. They, along with G2 in the last stage, were the team pulling out target bans against teams. And here the Sledge has been taken away, an operator that we saw Benja playing on last week in Bank, and also the Mute, another operator that Benja is known for. Also some of what we saw Gorgona playing at points. So to me, this is a big target ban coming in against Benja specifically, but also a minor lean towards some ops that we've seen Gorgona play at points as well. I love it. He's had a brilliant game last week. Get a bit cheeky with him, ban him away, hit him on the spawn peak if you can, Ace. I'm expecting them to give him a real UK welcome to T1.
I'd have certainly thought so. It's going to be a bit of a trial by fire potentially, but we are not going to have to wait too long to find out. We're going to be heading down to Church and Arsenal for our first site. Cowana on the defence. Nothing too spicy in terms of the operator picks, much beyond that Thunderbird that we've got there. Alibi, of course, becoming a little bit more popular. Now, I can tell you, Thunderbird wasn't very popular last week, Des. Obviously, the new operator into the pool. For anybody that doesn't know what Thunderbird does, she brings what we call some corner healing stations, and they've just got little bullets of health in them, if they will, automated within a radius. You run past them, it shoots you, you get juiced up. Simple as that. But not too popular last week. 4.92% pick rate when available. Only picked in 3 rounds in Playday 1.
They're like paintballs of love.
Well,
they don't hurt, they don't bruise, they don't sting. Give you a nice little boost. Get you on your way again. Oh, get back out on the road. You did a great job. It's like a motivational boost as well as an actual health bar one. Let's see how it shapes up. And you mentioned the Alibi, by the way. Of course, now has the 1.5 times, which was taken away from Frost. So that's why you're seeing that big step up. A nice opportunity for her to do a bit of work with that Storm charging around the map. Good as a roamer. Site transformation, air quotes, intel gadget in the form of those Alibi decoys. And of course, some impacts to make use of for rotations or a shield if so desired. So a very flexible operator, Ace, and one that can fill a number of roles for the team.
Interesting placement from Sloth there, just putting one of those corner stations up in the gym area. Now, let's not forget, Cowana are defending the bottom floor, so at a point, they're going to drop away from here, and it's worth remembering that those corner stations will heal your enemies as well as your own team. So that could be, you know, Na'Vi take a little bit of damage on the way in. They move through Jim, they find the corner, they get themselves healed back up. It could well be something that works against Cowana. It could be Sloth's intention to take it out should he leave that area.
This setup is really interesting because it's a lot like an SSG roam where you'd have a mutant and Mozzie on the top floor. Oh, you should have seen him first. What happened there, Grizz? But looking at it again, to me, this looks like an SSG style roam where they've got 2 or 3 roamers on the top floor. The Malusi have Gorgona on the ground floor, covering their retreats back, but there's no mutant Mozzie. They're playing things like the Bandit on the top floor. They had Grizzly here on the alibi, Gorgona on the ground floor. Benja was up here earlier on as well, and now it's Sloth looking to go for the challenge, but he's going to find himself pincered in from a couple of sides, and in comes the aggression. One more shutdown before Benja does finally strike back. 3 roamers on the top floor, reduced down to 1, leaving just an Arctic inside of sight, and now he's got to face off against the full might of Na'Vi. 4 members descending onto him as he lurks here just outside of kitchen in the hallway, waiting for an unsuspecting attacker to come through.
Unlikely to be pretty, and Arctic taking the option not even to retreat to site at this point. It's a bit beyond that, and it is a bit beyond finding the first kill as Doki is going to shut the man down. That's a little question in chat there. I think that's a why were you there sort of question. But an Arctic at that point, there's not much that he can do from site. There's not much that he can do from elsewhere, so he might as well get himself out there, try and get aggressive, surprise Na'Vi, find a kill. But that's not going to happen as Doki closes it down, and that is round 1 to Na'Vi. I think it's fair to call it convincingly.
Doki's whole reaction there is going to be on the timeline in a couple of minutes' time, I guarantee, because he just sat there and looked completely baffled for a good 20 seconds as to, like you say, why is he there? What was the game plan? What were they thinking? And sure enough for Cowana, not the prettiest round in the world. We always say, just because you see something and it doesn't work, there's 3 roamers on the top floor, 1 on the ground floor, and only really 1 on site. Just because it doesn't work, it doesn't mean it was strictly bad. It just needs a little bit more lab time, Ace, is the way that we'll describe it. We'll see if they get to bring it back out again and what they can do with it. Did look a little bit shaky in the round, but on a different day, maybe it works out a bit different for Cowana. Gym and Bedroom going to be our second site with an extended hold out towards Cash and CC. We're very used to seeing this by now, Ace.
We certainly are. We certainly are. It is becoming the norm of trying to hold on to that eastern side of the map. So generally speaking, there won't be too much of an effort made to keep that wall on the right-hand side of your screen closed. It will pretty much be accepted that that's going to get breached. The real meat of this defence is going to come inside of Cash, the room that we see Gorgona in now, right in front of you. The likelihood is that the top of Red Stairs is going to be contested quite heavily as well, and the reason for that is you want to protect that rotation. You don't want your players inside of Cash getting squeezed from 2 angles, from CCTV and from Red Stairs, so try and hold on to that and just prevent them pushing in. Once they've got control of that side of the map, it basically opens up the rest of the site. They can use the windows that we see in front of us there. They can just have a lot of freedom, and the defenders are completely pushed back and penned in. So that's going to be Na'Vi's primary goal, I would have thought, is to get that construction and Cash locked down.
It's always normally the first point of control that you want to stop those windows being played. For a couple of members, though, they are splitting themselves up. You had Nate looking off towards that east side of the map, but it's down to Blur and secretly here out on Jacuzzi Wall inside 50 seconds, having it all Mavericked open and now splits up. And Arctic, the one greeting them with the clash here, of course, with the lovely shield in front of your face. Can't take any damage from the front unless explosives come singing your way, but gives information back to the defensive side as to how many operators are on that side of the map. Can they expect an attack from there? What is going to be the general setup? But Na'Vi are quite keen to keep things moving around. We mentioned about Nath being out towards the east. You've got a couple now looking to play from below. And Doki, of course, has got 1 more frag in the back pocket. Every other member, all 4 of them, were on drones there for about 10 seconds or so. So a bit of mid-round intel collection before they start thinking about those next steps.
Doki just giving his position away a little bit there. You can see the clash shield being moved over to main stairs as the Iana knocked out the barbed wire. Otherwise, Doki might have just had a little bit of a free pass to get up there and try and find a kill or 2. He's going to take another peek, but will not come face to face with the clash just yet. But this is good progress from Na'Vi. They've got that hot tub wall open, starting to clear out utility. They're just burning away those toxic babe canisters as well. There's still a long time left inside of this round. it's going to be Doki who starts things off. It looks like he's having a big day again, Des, as he finds a second. That's Grizzly and Sloth, both backed in the dust, and in comes the rest of Na'Vi, and they are looking terrifying today, just as they did on Playday 1. And Arkic manages to find himself one, but again, just like round 1, he is all alone in a 1v4 now. Nath gets that diffuser down and activated. It's all up to the Clash, but you've really got to say it's a matter of time here, especially without what you would call a real primary weapon. Blur, he holds the angle, he shuts the man down, and Na'Vi take round 2. And Cowana, they need to get themselves into this quickly, Des, or they could find themselves put to the sword exactly the same as G2 suffered in Playday 1.
2 kills, 2 rounds, not a good start for Cowana. And you kind of have to ask the question, is it down to G2 and Cowana just not starting the season well, or is it Na'Vi being so damn good? Because in that particular instance there, you've got Doki taking on 2 would-be roamers that were coming down to try and isolate onto him. They knew that he was inside a bar, given the barbed wire that, as you say, he cleared out. Bit of a call coming through from the Clash, and ultimately he kills both of them. Maybe a slight mistiming between them both on when they swung onto him, but it definitely wasn't the play that Cowana were looking for there, even though they knew it's the kind of play they had to try and make to shut him out of the round. Either way, downstairs we go for our 3rd round once again, so I can't imagine. That being said, I'm looking at the lineup and it is the same as round 1, so maybe we are going to see a repeated attempt of that 3 roamer on the top floor setup again.
I'm interested to have a look at Thunderbird once again here. I mentioned it back in round 1. Sloth had used one of the corner stations up in the corner of Jim, and I'm not sure. We've not really seen a lot of Thunderbird play yet, so there's really time to tell with this operator, and I think she's certainly got her uses, but I just don't think this is a static enough position for her, really, Des. I think, you know, we talk about places like Pixel Corner on Cafe, where you are going to stay firm, boots on the ground in that corner for as long as you can. That's great, because you're just going to continually get juiced up, whereas here you need to move, you need to be mobile, you need to react to where the push is coming from. Is it coming from hot tub wall? Is it coming from cash side? You can't just sit in one place inside a gym, so I feel like that corner station almost puts Sloth on a little bit of a leash. He can't go too far away because he wants to defend it. He doesn't want the roamers getting, you know, the roam clearance coming in and getting those extra hit points, so he's got to play in and around that area, and I don't know if it's maybe just locking him down a bit too much.
I see what you're saying. I think it's more about having them scattered around the top floor, so when they do have 2 or 3 players roaming up there, there is the ability to make use of them. And realistically for the attackers, sure, are they really going to wait around to get themselves juiced back up before they start heading downstairs? Most likely not, but we'll keep a close eye on it. This time at least the opening kill goes the way of Cowana. Gorgona finding Doki, the man who has been a terror in these first 2 rounds.
Great start for Cowana. That's exactly what they needed. We say it so often. If Doki's having a good game, generally Na'Vi are going to have a good game. Great example we've got of the corner station potential use there, Des, but it's still on cooldown. Sloth manages to find a kill, and he has to dip away before he can get himself healed up. He's going to try to take that corner station out, exactly as I suggested he might. He does not want to leave that as utility for Na'Vi, and this time around it is going much better for Cowana. They've got themselves a couple of kills on the roam. They're now going to start falling back. They've wasted half of the round, but Blur has got himself established down in Dirt Tunnel, and the big question here is, are Cowana aware?
This looks like a blue and dirt setup as well. No real worry about main stairs, nothing about kitchen hatch, nothing about Moto. You saw Saves hovering on the drone, just trying to feed what he can back, and Nath crouch walking his way forward. Depends what he can find. It's like the Pink Panther with how gently he's towing his way down towards blue, but steps onto the Legion goo mine, and guess what? That gives the game away. That should be some awareness now to Cowana as to what's going on, and they can start turning a couple of guns that way.
Saves just starts to put in the concussion grenades to see if there's anybody on the edge. They're actually going to be flashed out by a bit of utility coming in. Now, we can see Na'Vi are fully in position here. They've got blue, they've got dirt, but it also looks like Cowana knows exactly that that is what they are playing for. Grizz, I think it is, just holding the long angle from the Ash Rush spot there, and Arkic dips out from behind the boxes, tries to get himself one. It's going to be Sloth with a double though, finding both, moves himself out through blue corridor into boxes in Armory, and they know where Blur is. Blur is stuck here. 17 seconds left to go, and very unlikely that he wins the round from this position, because Cowana, they're just going to be super patient here, and I think this is exactly what this game and Cowana both needed was that first round to go their way, to get them on the board and to slow things down. Now, it's interesting there. I picked up on that corner station at the beginning with Sloth, and I raised the question, is it the right sort of area for it? Is it holding him in a position? And we saw there the usefulness of it. I think, yes, that time, definitely successfully managed to clear it out as well. But it's certainly something to keep an eye on, to watch out for, just how frequently they're being used, how impactful they are, and in some cases, how much of a problem do they cause for the defenders? Like that Sloth dropping away and then having to turn round and clear it out. If he gets challenged and killed at that point, it's a different story. But this time, definitely worked out.
I don't hate the case of using one of them up there. If all three, which is what I thought they were going for.
I'm not being critical of it. I'm raising the question of it and just highlighting the potential hazards with it. But it's definitely something to watch. It's fascinating at the minute.
I'm always very curious to see if any team does commit to having all three out on the roam, use all your Konas out aggressively, and it feels a bit too much, whereas they're the one being used to support him on the roam, and having the last two on site for, where they're normally meant to be, felt like the right kind of play. And, good stuff out of Cowana. I like seeing a bit of innovation with that operator. However, things are more back to normal. There is no innovation with the Thunderbird to be taking place on Cash and CC, which is where we find ourselves going to in round number 4. For the first time, by the way, Ace.
First time today. So we've spoken about CCTV and Cash before because it's become more and more difficult to keep this east wall closed. A lot of teams will, make a token challenge of it. They'll put a couple of bandit batteries down. There's not going to be too much more of an effort. The mirror window placement there is, of course, interesting. Now, because of the recent changes to the glass in the mirror window, it's going to be absolutely free for Na'Vi to walk up to that and just punch it out. So it's going to get shattered. But what they do need to be careful with, of course, is that glass being dropped out completely. It does give a line of sight into sight, but it's an option that Cowana could take to try and keep that wall solid, and that's exactly what they've done, and you can see the impact it has immediately. Does Maverick just absolutely sprinting away from that wall?
Wants nothing to do with it. It does make it a lot more risky to play on this platform, so it kind of forces Na'Vi to think a little bit differently. Now, whether or not they say that differently to us is to go over to construction side and try and go for a construction push is a different question. They could also look to play from below, potentially in lounge. That does, of course, meaning first dealing with players like Benja, who may be lurking around the map, and Sloth may be another that you find looking to skulk his way through and keep them guessing wherever he may be. Do want to touch again, as I always like doing, by the way, on Grizzly on the smoke. Playing with that FMG is becoming more and more popular. Doki starting up his bank account in this round with Sloth being the first deposit. 5 versus 4 for Na'Vi.
Great start for Na'Vi this time. Last time Cowana just managed to take Doki out, but absolutely flip reversed here, and Na'Vi get themselves a man advantage. They can get themselves established inside of construction now, but are they aware of Cowana lurking down beneath? He's got the nitro in hand. Another reason for bringing the bandit along. It does help you to make that challenge onto East Wall, but it also gives you that vertical ability in the nitro. Now, if Cowana smells this, he is going to hit it just right, and there it goes, the double. Benja, Cowana, both using those explosives with absolute lethality there to turn around the man count, and it's now Cowana 4 versus 3, and Na'Vi back to the drawing board in round 4.
I think Secret had a bit of regret there as well. If his gun had been in hand, he didn't realise, I think, that the player was sat right inside the doorway staring at him and was kind of surprised maybe to not get shot back. But it wasn't to be the case. He dipped away and will keep himself alive. Na'Vi have got 45 seconds to think of a solution here. It's 4 versus 3 for Cowana. It's not a ton of time, and sure enough, like we thought they might earlier on, they have moved themselves away to playing in through Cash, but left one player, initially at least, playing out on that east breach because they wanted to be able to see through the mirror window to contest any would-be rotates. But Grizzly finds another onto Secretly. This is going to be the shutdown. There is no one on Cash side anymore. The last two members are pushing in from Cash, not on CC side anymore, and this should be an easy closeout for Cowana.
That's it, Cowana are aware of that, so now all guns turn in that direction. Toxic Babe canister comes out. Nath has absolutely no choice but to try and just blast his way through that. Takes an absolute lungful and a ton of damage with it and gets shut down as soon as he breaches the smoke and gets himself into Cash. Safe just watching his angle there. He's just trying to tick a few seconds by and just give an opportunity for Na'Vi to have a chat. That's 2 rounds in a row for Cowana, and what looked like a slow start from them, Des, is at an end. They have found that accelerator pedal and they have put their foot down.
I mean, 2 rounds ago, I'd be telling you, man, if you want to come back up to 2-2. It looks super dominant towards Na'Vi's side. They'd only dropped 2 kills so far in the first couple of rounds. Really good, convincing attacks. They were winning their gunfights. There seems to be nothing really that Cowana could do. But they've sort of found their beans now. They took a couple of rounds to warm into it. But here we are, going back to gym and bedroom at 2 apiece. Maybe this game could end up far closer than we first bargained for.
Certainly could. Genuinely, before we came into the game at 0-0 on the scoreboard, I expected an absolute brawl between these two. Given the way that they've both had that Playday 1 win, Cowana, they've got to be taking a lot out of that victory against Empire. It was a real confidence boost. I'm sure Na'Vi were Na'Vi. They were absolutely clinical against G2, so I just had a feeling that this one was going to be hard fought. And coming in, I was a little bit surprised by the first 2 rounds, if anything, but glad to see that Cowana have got back into it. I go straight back to what I said on Playday 1, and I mean it now as much as ever, and that is, I'm not bothered who wins these games. I just want to see them go the distance and us have real entertaining, exciting matchups, and that's certainly what's on the cards here. Now we're going to be going to gym and bedroom for round number 5. We saw it back in round 2. Na'Vi were pretty dominant. Nath able to get in there, get the diffuser down. It was another tough situation for an Arctic. Found himself in a 1 versus 4. Very little that he could do, but let's see if Cowana can turn the tides here and just turn their fortunes more towards them on what is their secondary choice of site.
I love seeing this mirror, by the way, the one that's inside of construction. I'm so used to seeing it from when G2 play against BDS. And I'm pretty sure in both of those games, we've seen him play it twice on Clubhouse. Both times, Shaiko managed to get himself in a spot where he ran from cache through construction, somehow didn't get shot from the mirror window, and then slaughters everyone inside a bedroom when he manages to get his journey complete. And so I'm looking to that window and just thinking, whoever is playing behind that needs to be ludicrously attentive. Thank you very much for highlighting this one for us. Is it easy on medics, by the way? Do we know?
I think it will be easy.
I imagine it will be. To be fair, we did leave medics behind on the sofa, didn't we?
I think normally their normal rotation is somebody will do game 1, 2 and 5 and the other one will do game 3 and 4. And I know that Easy did the first game. So. And he's just told me in my ear.
And there you go. He's just whispering sweet nothings to us is the best way to describe it. But it looks like for now, at least, the big focus is going to be this jacuzzi wall. However, there is a mirror window waiting to greet them. It is electrified. There is electric everywhere. So a lot to be done on the side of Na'Vi if they want to be able to get inside of here comfortably. Already you've got Doki once again playing downstairs. It was from this exact spot where he netted a 2k last time round, if you recall, when Grizzly and Sloth tried to roam down onto him. Now, Cowana, if they're going to try and do the same again, need to be so much more wary. I don't think that got cleared out.
I don't think it took the barbed wire out. No, it's I've no doubt going to be a difficult one to do specifically or accurately sometimes because it's on the stairs. I'm sure that'll play into the physics a little bit of just exactly where that barbed wire is. But the barbed wire remains intact for the time being. We can see the Shumiker launchers still just absolutely lighting up that entrance there. Nath just having to dip back as he tries to get those X-Kairos pellets to bear on the bathroom wall and get things opened up. There's a lot of work being done underneath by Blur on the book, but as of yet, Na'Vi to find a kill here, yet to find a crack in this defense. Now, can one be opened up with the nade? Ooh. No, it just goes a little bit too far, and Gorgona is going to survive, if only on a slither of health. 35 seconds left to go, and an absolute bloodbath is on its way.
Oh, another C4 comes singing out, something that Cowana have really enjoyed throwing at Na'Vi's face in the last couple of rounds. But here comes the push in. Grizzly finding one to saves, isn't seen to his right-hand side as an Arctic picks up that kill. Blur now stepping his way back up where Doki trod just a few seconds prior, albeit more cautiously. Secretly finding one back on the other side too. Suddenly it's a bit more balanced out, but the clock waits for no one. It's only 10 seconds left. It's a 4 versus 2 for Cowana. They've got to work some kind of magic here. In comes secretly sprayed down by an Arctic off towards the side. A 1 versus 3 for Blur. This round is done. Aces, the screen goes white. Nothing can be done by Blur, and it's a closeout for Cowana. 3 rounds on the bounce.
3 rounds on the bounce, but also taking themselves the lead for the first time tonight now. 3-2 all the way back after 2 dominating rounds from Na'Vi. Now, interestingly there, Shim and Bedroom, Na'Vi just never really felt like they had any control over site at all. Cowana were very comfortable to just stay in their positions, play their angles, and just basically keep using the same strategy. There was just no disruption from Na'Vi for me there.
It was just a bit slow. because they had the ideas, right? They had Doki down below, looking
well, I think they just got rebuffed. I think that was what it was. They went in, nope, that's not working. Went in, nope, that's not working. And they just got rebuffed.
It's happened a few times, and a lot of it because of these mirror windows, it's worth mentioning. Look back to the CC site and look at how they were rebuffed by the mirror deployed on the CC wall. Look back at that round. They couldn't really easily push through construction, so opted for below and jacuzzi. They were just a little bit restricted on options at points, I think, and never really had anyone playing on the south balcony, maybe because they opted not to take control of CC. So some questions to ask around where Na'Vi is choosing to attack for sure and what damage they're doing from those angles, because forcing your way in through the breach and only looking to really make an impact happen by trying to push your way up main stairs does leave some questions to be asked, and parts of it very clearly were undroned. Now, once again, we are going to see Sloth going for this top floor roam with just the one Kona station to accompany him. Otherwise, it's going to be everyone else back down on site, including those other 2 Kona stations. That said, sorry, I'm a liar. Not everyone else is back down there. The Konas are, but we're seeing that triple roam set up once again. Maybe Cowana saying here, Ace, we've got the confidence now. We've won 3 rounds in a row. Let's give that strat that we know can work another go.
Well, that's one thing that plays into the question I was asking about Sloth and that positioning and, you know, how dedicated is he to staying in gym. The fact that they're playing 3 on top floor allows him to be more dedicated to it, because it doesn't mean that they need to move around quite as much, so it does allow Sloth to stay in that position, and it's an interesting twist coming into that top floor roam. Now Doki looking to make the challenge up through the hatch there is not going to find any joy, neither will Sloth on the return. It's just a little bit of fencing that's going on between the 2 of them, but we'll see how this roam clearance comes out. We've seen it extremely effective in round 1, and then we've seen them struggle the second time that they tried to assault onto it. So Na'Vi need to find themselves some kills, and that is not going to help as Gorgona opens his account in round 6 with a nitro kill. Again, something Cowana have done very, very well here is that use of explosives.
I do want to touch on the fact as well, they've got 6 impacts on the side of Cowana, have used them all for rotations around that top floor, I imagine. And look at this, they've got their kills, they dip back to site, they can stock up on some of those sweet, sweet Kona pellets. Grizzly topping himself back up just over half HP, but they found 2 kills, one of them off the back of a C4, the second just a moment ago. 5 versus 3, you've done your damage on the roam, and now you can pull back down to site. Really good round out of Cowana, and this is what they were aiming for back in round 1.
Interestingly, we do see Blur just taking advantage of a few extra hit points there as he's moved through that top floor corner station, but he's not going to be in a position within the time frame of those burning away to make any challenges or to make use of them. So again, you know, an interesting question about that positioning. How far away is it from the challenges that are going to be made? And in this case, it's certainly far enough, so well thought out by Cowana. Now then, Benja just playing underneath the kitchen hatch there. He's still got nitro in hand, so it's something that Na'Vi need to be careful of, but with 45 seconds left to go, there's not an awful lot of time for them to be thinking about getting onto site. They don't have any real access here as of yet.
Going back up once again, Doki chucking a nade in over towards Stack as he wants to push his way down, and there we go. Sloth removed from blue. This could be partly a weakness. If they find Gorgona here off to the right-hand side, that might really open things up for Na'Vi, but no, he's the one connecting the shots across onto Doki. Bit of a pause coming in, a potential flick coming in for secretly, but Gorg finds 2, making a 3K in the round. Blur steps in and shuts him down finally, but it's a 1 versus 3, and yet again, Ace, there is no time left. He's got 10 seconds to find 2 kills, sees one man running, no way does he connect. It's a 3K, 1 for either of them, knows where the last man must be, he's not looking the right way, I'm pretty sure he's behind him here, has no idea, wants to go instead for the diffuser, not going to find the man, and the round will be won by Cowana, but it came down to a hair, Ace.
Well played by Grizzly at the end there, just playing the objective, letting the clock do its job, burning those final few seconds and getting it over the line for Cowana, and that puts them 4-2 on the half, and that is big from Cowana. What a fight back we have seen so far from them, and I think, you know, we've got to give the Cyborg a shout out there. What a round from him, coming in with a big nitro kill to start it off, and then 2K in the mid-round, 3 overall to really help push Cowana forward. And we can see there's just a bit of a rehost going to come in. I think we've just got a little bit of a bug that's going to mean that one of the players needs to get themselves out and back in. So we will get you back to the action as soon as it starts. Don't worry, you won't miss a thing. But 4-2 so far. Who'd have thought that after the first 2 rounds?
No one, realistically. You really thought Na'Vi were going to be able to start running away with that when Cowana weren't finding a single answer. What I really like is that we had that point proved about round 1 where we said, look, just because it didn't work doesn't mean it's strictly bad. Then they go on to make it work in the penultimate one, in the final round there of that half, and it goes to show there are some different ideas. It's been a long time since we've seen alternative roam strategies coming out on this map. I know BDS sometimes like to run Valkyrie out on the roam where a lens will get off site and try and cause trouble. But outside of that, for most teams, it's always the Mute, the Mozzie, the Vigil, this SSG roam that we've spoken about for seemingly years now. So I'm glad to see Thunderbird enabling something a little bit different for Cowana at the very least.
Absolutely. It's one that I'll definitely have a look back at afterwards and just see, how much impact, we saw it directly on the second time Sloth used that corner on the top floor for the roam, but it'll just be interesting to have a little bit more of a detailed breakdown of that because obviously being the new operator coming in, it's just fascinating to see exactly how she does get used, what the teams think about it, how they manage to implement it. And I think that's always a fascinating one because what we've got is Sloth playing it in the same position 3 times over, so it allows us to have that contrast rather than trying to, how has it worked in this spot versus how has it worked in that spot. We've got some direct comparison there, so definitely something for us to have a look at. But we're going to be back into this one soon. The question now is, of course, Na'Vi coming back onto the defense. Can they swing this around? Are we going to see a little bit of an advantage for Na'Vi? Is it that Clubhouse is just playing out in favour of those defenders today and Na'Vi could well bring it back? But you start looking at this, and do I think that they're going to 5-1 this Cowana team? I'm not too confident that they will at this point. So you start looking at that and, dare I say it, Des, we could
Shock.
be heading for overtime.
Horror. It was our curse last week. We joked about it constantly. It just seems to follow us everywhere we go. That replay of that potential clutch here again on your screen. Blur with some nice shots, but not enough time to find the man in the final 1 versus 1. Now, we spoke a lot about the Thunderbird. We spoke about the Mirror. We spoke about the changes to Alibi, which is now making him more popular. This is almost identical to the lineup that we saw coming out of Cowana. The only real difference being that Saves is playing on the Mozzie rather than playing on the Legion that we saw Anarchic playing on the defensive side. And yet again, it is that downstairs site. It is 2 or 3 players looking to play out on the roam. Are we seeing the potential new meta of Clubhouse here, Ace? I'll tell you what's happened. One team has rolled this out. Teams have scrimmed them. They've been like, damn, that's really good.
Yep.
And now everyone's playing. And they're like, oh, I wonder where you got that from. There is going to be a team in EU, and I don't know which one it is. I'm going to try and find out later who first rolled this out. And to them, fair play. It's looking really interesting for a bit of differentiation to Clubhouse that we're not used to seeing.
Says he's going to take a lot of damage as he goes over the top rope there. Shut down as he tries to jump down from the catwalk, and that's going to be Sloth finding the opener, and that is big for Cowana. If they can come in here and get a successful first attack onto this Na'Vi defence, then that is message sent, and I'm sure it'll be message received from the side of Na'Vi. They will know that they're in for a battle at that point. 5-2 will not be looking or feeling pretty for them. Now, we've still got Nath upstairs on that top floor roam with the Mirror, but he's all alone at the minute. Blur is underneath on the Thunderbird and could potentially provide support up those main stairs, but the question is now, how long do Na'Vi leave Nath in place here? How much does he commit to this before thinking about heading down to site? If he gets cleared out, that then leaves them 3 versus 5 down there.
The danger is they've lost one person to the roam setup they've got already. You really want to try and make it work, but you don't want to overextend. And I think Nate's done the right thing here. He's killed a couple of drones. He's got rid of the Yana clone as it came through as well. And now, as I've said, okay, now's a good time to back away. And as you saw him going down the main stairs, there were 2 or 3 silhouettes of Cowana players still moving across the top floor. And there's a C4 in hand. Is it waiting for Sloth? I think they realised the man stepping across at this exact moment. So that could have been a bit of a freebie for them if it had connected at the right time.
Cowana got control of the top floor now. Sloth and Benji are about to start having a think of working their way down main stairs, but it's the Gemini clone in there first just to make sure it's safe. Nath will take it out as his last action before dropping himself back to site, and that is now where Na'Vi find themselves in completeness. The last minute, they've got 4 men on site, and this is not the end of the world for them. Cowana will need to work quickly. They want to get the vertical angles. They want to get the hatches opened up. We can hear the blowtorch just working in the background there. Grizzly just getting that bar hatch done, so that is a good step for Cowana, but there is still more to come from them. 35 seconds left at this point in time, and still no real pressure, you don't feel, on these Na'Vi players inside a site. There's only going to be one opportunity for Cowana here.
That's why the roam game's so effective. You waste so much time, and this site normally does take a little bit of setup. You've got to think about dirt, the 3 hatches, the floor that needs opening. That's a great kill coming out of Doki. Perfect swing onto Benja, who was stepping out, of course, not able to play the sledge because it is banned away, is now taking on Iana's duties, but there goes Gorg, there goes Grizzly. 2 massive kills coming in for Cowana. Plant is going down as well, and Arctic sticking it out. They might just make this one 5 in a row, Ace. They're going to do just that. Cowana, out of nowhere, are taking control of this game. They're at 5-2, 1 away from overtime at least.
Cowana looking absolutely unstoppable at the minute. Got down there 4 versus 4, and after that big kill from Doki, you start thinking, right, what's going to happen? But it just didn't matter. Na'Vi started to fall like dominoes at that point, and as soon as it was all down to Doki, they knew exactly where he was. They had the crossfire established. There was no way that he could move across that main corridor to try and get in and make any sort of impact on the planter of Anarchic, and it was round 1 already at that stage. Now, for round 8, we're going to be moving, Des, interestingly, to bar and stage. Na'Vi, I'm not going to call it the new site, but Na'Vi choosing to go to our most recently revamped site.
Just call it new. Just be done with it and call it new. It's not bar and stock anymore. It's basically new.
Hat must be so happy. He must be so happy with the bar and stage that we're going to see from now.
I asked him earlier on, I was like, are you happy, Hap? And he was just like, I'm always happy. Like, deadpan, I'm always happy. And it's just like, why would you dare ask that question? I am always happy. And I was like, okay, well, this is definitely going to make him at least start to crack a smile of some way, because as we all know, Hap is a massive fan of bar and stage. We've seen it played a couple of times so far to mixed effect is probably the best way I'd describe it. Often vertical holes are a big part of this setup in the first place, which is why you might be seeing Blur going for some of these shotgun holes up on the top floor. You can afford to play on site itself, but generally considered a little bit riskier, which is why there is such an intricate setup going up on the top side. The mirror covering off anyone trying to push their way through construction. So your main point of threat to worry about is going to be one coming in from Jacuzzi or the main windows that look into Gym and into Master. We'll keep a close eye on that, though, and see how the round develops.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of holds of this, and generally it does come down to that top floor area. Now, quite a few teams choosing to extend as far out as Cash with mixed success, some choosing simply to draw the line at construction and try to hold on to that hatch that is above stage. Now, it's a fascinating one. We'll see as we have more bar and stage exactly how it develops, but I just feel like going as far as Cash can be a little bit of just comfort, really. It's the same as gym and bedroom. It's what you're used to trying to hold on to. Is it strictly necessary? We don't know. It does allow access to the windows, which will allow pressure into bedroom and construction. And talking of pressure, Gorgona, he's going to put it straight onto Na'Vi to begin with. Manages to find himself one, and look how deep into almost sight Sloth is here. They've got the wall open. They're using the hatch now against Na'Vi, and this is exactly what I was saying was the risk of not holding on to Cash, essentially, but it's happened from the other side. If you get pressure from the windows, from underneath, into Gym, into Master, it pretty much negates your construction hold, because you can't stay there for too long then.
It's 2 early kills, 1 in either round so far for Na'Vi on their defensive side that you look at and go, that probably could have been avoided. They've just given so much ground to Cowana that there was nowhere safe for Secretly to play on the site itself, so either commit to the roam, I guess, or really try and hunker yourself down behind a shield, for example, in the site itself. All sides being surrounded by the side of Cowana. They look ready to go for this. They don't really want to fight the top floor by the looks of it. And fair enough so, there are 3 members already holding up there on the side of Na'Vi, and you've got Doki holding in the basement with the C4 in hand, just daring someone to step into the wrong position.
Almost turning into a site very similar to something like on Oregon, where you see kitchen and dining and all the attention that's paid to the top floor. Doki managing to find the explosive there. Blur managing to use the vertical to get a kill onto Grizzly. Benja, he has to try and relocate. Does have the diffuser in hand now. He's just conscious of the man moving himself back up from downstairs, and it is Doki that's doing the damage right now. But Benja, no, he chooses to come off. He hears the footsteps. He has to, but he's too late for the challenge as Saves manages to find it, and Na'Vi, they are at last getting themselves back into this. They are going to grab onto the cliff face with their fingertips here, Des, and they're going to stop the slide that was sending them plummeting towards an early doom, and they are going to get themselves around here to make it 3-5. It's all down to Anarchic in a 1 versus 4. Extremely unlikely. He's just trying to to find anything he can from the kitchen door here. Well, the kitchen corridor door, rather, but there's going to be absolutely nothing cooking for him as the time ticks away, and that's going to be Na'Vi finally putting the brakes on the train that was Cowana.
And it looked in the early round like they had the right answer as well, right? They had every area of the site surrounded. They were ready to go for the push in. But you knew, you had drones, you knew there were holes above where you wanted to go for that plan, and sure enough, 2 players run in, one gets C4'd, one gets sprayed from above. Na'Vi just had the answer. They were playing for the site denial, the vertical really working in their favour. And I would have thought Cowana as a team that may try and pull out this kind of thing before as well, you might be a little bit more aware of those kind of setups, but apparently not to be the case. You'd probably ask questions as well as to why the hell Anarchic was outside of the map at a time when the plant was so, needed to go down at that time. There was only 10 seconds left on the clock. But alas, this is how things have shaped up. Na'Vi find their way back in ever so slightly, but now we go back to those more, air quotes, default sites, the default setups that they need to be able to crack Cavana's attack apart.
This is the thing, on the last site, you argue with bar and stage, maybe Cowana don't know exactly what they're going to go into that Na'Vi defence, whereas here, back to default, they should know what to expect. So can Na'Vi just use that little confidence boost there of round 8 to give themselves the momentum they need to take a few more? I mean, what I love about that last site is, I will stand corrected, I don't think there was a single defender on site for the majority of the round.
One secretly was gone, no one was there.
That's it, it was
they
just
had 3 above and 1 below.
All played off site completely. And again, that's going to be an interesting site as it develops, because inevitably then what's going to happen is the basement and top floor roam clearances are going to become much more important, so you'll see attacking teams focusing on there, knowing that they need to clear those out if they want to do things like get the diffuser down. And we're going to have a lot of evolution in that site, I think, as we see it played more. It's early stages yet, and that was just showing how important the vertical can be.
I mean, between the spicy basement roams that we've seen so far, the mirror obviously being used in some interesting ways too, between the bar and stage being played, I like it.
Clubhouse is refreshed.
I like it. And there's barely been any changes outside, of course, being able to play inside a bar. But hey, I'm down for plenty more as time begins to progress forwards. In this case here, putting their focus on trying to get open the CC wall. There is, of course, a mirror window that has been punched out on it, so Na'Vi, at a moment's notice, could pop that one open. They do have 6 impacts in the back pocket, and there we go. It will come out. Expecting there to be an exothermic on that wall, I think they would be incorrect. But with this many impacts, you can deny all day long anything really being done by the side of Cowana. You go for exothermics, gets impacted off. The Maverick gets too close, they're going to pokeball you to death. That's the only way I can really describe it. You are going to have many of those explosives yeeted at you, and you will be taken out on the wall. We've seen a few teams employ that sort of strategy before.
Cowana likely to shift over to a west side push now. As we can see, Sloth is already established in master bedroom, so it's just going to be a case of the other members of Cowana getting over there to join him and bringing the utility needed to open up that wall and to give access to site that they need now. Doki once again just playing down there in the basement, way away from site, but again, are Cowana aware of his location? Are they able to keep him on a leash and stop him having any impact on the round? Ooh, just an overexposure there as Sloth misses his, I won't say misses his shots, but maybe misses a tough opportunity to take Blur down.
Misses an absolute freebie as well. The guy was crouching through a rotate. Should have been the freest kill of his life. And I do want to clock, by the way, I'm really keen to see how Clubhouse evolves in future weeks, because we've seen this setup now multiple times today, where the mirror window on this east wall means it's defensible. Reinforce heavily inside a garage. Oh, did they miss it? No, it comes off. That'd be ruined that one. But again, garage heavily held. Cash wall, CC wall gets denied. Sorry, you're forced essentially to try and attack your way up through red stairs, or to push your way through cash. And both teams have had to be on the giving and the receiving end of that so far.
Benji getting caught out by Doki there, who was lurking on those blue stairs, and as I said, I did question whether Cowana were aware of his presence or not, and I don't think they were. They've not paid enough attention to the Scotsman, and he's hurt them there. Now then, Anarchic gets one back, but otherwise it is largely going in the favour of Na'Vi here. Gorgona having a good day so far. He's going to have to go big here. Can he find another inside of red? Absolutely not. Doki alive and finds the headshot. 1 versus 3 now, and he's outside of the east breach with 5 seconds and no way in. Na'Vi, they're just going to keep themselves locked down here. Blur does get down, but Nath, he's smart enough to keep himself out of trouble there and gets the round over the line on the board, and that is now 4-5, and Na'Vi, they are fighting back, and this one could still go the distance. I mean, it seemed improbable a couple of rounds ago, but we're certainly heading in that direction now.
Just feels it, doesn't it? With how things are going, the momentum totally dragged away from Cowana. They were set at 5-2. And things have slowly swung their way back closer and closer to home for Na'Vi. And with the momentum against them, Cowana, rightly so, they call that timeout, and there is a few words to be said. I always love watching, by the way, who is talking in these moments. And right now, it's none of the players. That's Mr. Officer behind the scenes having a chat and saying, boys, remember what we said. Remember what we've practiced and what we've set up for this. We know how to deal with this before. Let's get the mindset back on shape here. And this is something that I think it was, I want to say it was Lycan who said it. There's a couple of instances where you want to step in as a coach and call a timeout. And one is when communication drops, when the team is becoming demotivated, when things aren't going well, the IGL can't quite keep control of the team anymore. This feels like one of those instances rather than I'll spotted something I need to correct. So maybe it is just getting the team back on course and saying, come on, boys, we know how to beat them. We spoke about this a lot.
Certainly do. We're going to be heading back in now as that minute has ticked by. Of course, worth mentioning for those who might not know, Na'Vi have the exact same opportunity there during that tactical timeout to have that discussion with the coach, have that discussion between each other. So whilst it is of benefit to Cowana and it might just break the stride of Na'Vi a little bit, you've got to think about the flip side of it. And I find the mentality of it all very, very interesting. Na'Vi get themselves 2 rounds and then they get given a little bit of a pause. And there's the argument there of it breaks the momentum. This is a game about muscle memory and getting in there and having good aim and hitting your shots, and sometimes just getting back into the action as quickly as possible will help you do that. But also, maybe it just helps Na'Vi cement what was going right there. They've managed to lay the foundation and they can say, right, from here, that's what worked. That's what worked, more of that. We nearly lost that because of it, and it just gives them that opportunity as well. So Na'Vi going to be heading back down to Church and Arsenal this time around. We've seen them try to defend here in round 7. It didn't go to plan as Cowana were able to get in and get the win. They moved away from there, so we didn't see them double down or anything like that. They decided that enough was enough. They were going to try bar and stage instead, and they did so successfully. So Na'Vi this time looking, hopefully, to try and lock down the basement.
I'm keen to, I'll ask him later on, no doubt, but why Gorgona's moved away from Buck onto the hip here when they do already have those 2 hard breaches on side. I think partly of it being they want the safer option to remove a mirror from distance. Of course, Maverick and Thermite, you need to get up nice and close and personal to deal with any would-be hard walls. The Hibana just offering a bit of a safer option. And if you're attacking on the downstairs, she is the Queen of Hatches. She will deal with them very, very quickly. And I guess if you're worried about losing members to trying to clear this top floor, it can't help to bring another hard breacher. But like I said, I'll try and find out later. It does remove some options, though, in, for example, destroying the hallway. They have no real soft breach here. Maybe there's Ophir, but you don't want to be really committing your impact rounds to opening up the floor. That's assuming, of course, they even get to look towards the downstairs. It's either that or they're expected to be attacking a different site altogether. So I do worry for them if it comes to pushing in the site itself with relatively even numbers, how they'll get the angles they need.
East breach opened and top floor roam clear underway immediately from Cowana here. It's Benja that's going to be working across. He's got an Archic in support who will likely be drawn in. That's exactly what we can see happening there. And Benja will start to push in behind it now that he knows that the red stairs is clear. And that's a really great example that we get in there from the top down of just how it works when you've got an entry fragger going in with that support drawn in. We've got Sloth, we've got Benja, we've got the Anarchic drawn out in front of them. They don't want to let that get too far in front because they want that information to be as hot as possible. But they're going to run into Doki sooner or later. Now, he's not been using his ability, I don't think, to keep himself off those drones as the Vigil. So he is just going to dip away, as does the mirror of Nathu was playing up there. He's taken a little bit of damage as well. But it looks like Na'Vi are happy with the 1.5 minutes that they've wasted, and they are going to get themselves back down to site and just try to lock things down, shore things up.
I think it's a great idea. You've waited 90 seconds, you've committed Cowana to attacking and clearing the top floor, you're killing drones as you go. Like, look, there's 4 down already between Gorgona and Sloth. They've only got 4 left alive still, so really good for Na'Vi to burn through the information game and also potentially waste all this time they've now burnt their way through. Cowana do still have all their utility in back pocket, mind you, and of course all 5 operators, so there's still something going for them, but you'll feel quite nervous to think, if you are the side of Cowana, that you've got to make this push happen again with no soft destruction. It's going to come down to walking your way forward here, clearing what you can and going for gunfights.
Sloth looking to get aggressive onto Blue. The Gemini drone went down ahead of him, but he's not going to push down to take any sort of fight, just clearing out some utility, and now he's going to put that Zofia explosive grenade to use elsewhere. We've got Grizzly established on main stairs, so with 35 seconds left, Cowana have got top control of the top 2 floors rather, and are looking to translate that now into some pressure onto site, but they've not been able to so far. Now Grizzly looking to see if he can get an angle in towards boxes. Doki, he could be a real problem maker here as he gets aggressive up into Moto, but forced back by that drone. 15 seconds left to go. He looks to make the challenge onto main stairs. He knows that Hibana's there. This is unprecedented aggression from Doki as he tries to push up, but no, the kills start to come in and force him back. He challenges onto the man from Moto, finds the kills along with Nathan Blur, and that is Na'Vi closing things down, leveling them up at 5-5, and they are finally fighting back.
Beautiful roam out of Na'Vi. We spoke about it during the round itself, but I feel like it's really worth highlighting again. Being on the roam doesn't mean you have to kill 2, 3, 4 people. You're out there to burn through utility. If you can burn operators, great, or to burn time, or just stop the attacking team having ground for free. And think about what attacks on this map often look like. If you know against a team like BDS, and they are the most common culprit for it, that they're playing a turtle strat in the basement, that whole ground floor is free real estate. Second floor, not a concern at all. You can just push your way in and start swinging the hammer, opening up the floor, worrying about getting hatches open, and you can give all this time to your attack itself. Whereas by getting out on the roam and wasting as much time as they did, 90 seconds, killing 5 drones, you know, didn't kill anyone, but all got themselves back to fight, down to sight, sorry. There's limited intel, limited time for Cowana to execute in a 5 versus 5, and Na'Vi have lost nothing. Really, really good roam, and an excellent example of how a roam doesn't have to be all about aggression and getting kills. It can just be eating time.
Going back to bar and stage this time around in round 11, and it's going to be fascinating to watch Cowana here on the attack and see how they do things differently. Last time around they pushed into strip, took very quick control. It was pretty much given to them. There was no contention in there from Na'Vi. They opened up the wall into the pool table area and looked to aggress into site from there. They got into a position to try put in the diffuser down, but Na'Vi were well poised both underneath and above to completely shut that down and stop it happening. So I would expect Cowana here needing to pay more attention to those vertical angles, pay more attention to the top floor, to the basement. They know they can't leave those operators alive in those positions, so this time surely they have to go in and try to clear them out.
Surely you say. Question is whether or not it can be pulled off. That top floor, which you keep on alluding to, was the big difference maker for Na'Vi. There are 3 of them still up there right now, and sure enough, you saw, I think it was 2, yeah, Gorgona and Grizzly looking to work their way up, and sure enough, here they are looking to assault their way inside of construction. We saw the mirror window sat on the wall last time, facing down into construction. That made this a little bit harder to get any control of construction, but Gorg here, identifying that there is not a reinforced wall in this single wall leading into construction, might be able to provide a little bit of pressure, get the man off the mirror window, open up construction, and then the attackers can move a little more freely.
Thing is, even just by opening up those soft surfaces, the wall, the hatching logistics, it starts forcing Na'Vi to move and to think. If they're trying to play in that position, hold down that angle, they have to dip out of there because it just leaves them feeling vulnerable. So it's good early progress, but that is not ideal. Saves, gets in, takes a headshot onto an Arctic. Thermite has done his job. He's opened up the wall into sight that was needed, but an Arctic would usually be the one with the briefcase in hand looking to get the diffuser planted. Not going to be possible. Somebody else from Cowana going to have to take over that mantle. And right now, a minute and a half into the round and still no real progress on clearing out this top floor from Cowana. Gorgona trying to push towards Hot Tub, but thinks better of it, Des. He doesn't want to play in towards that mirror window.
Not enough pressure this time round coming through as well. They've got 2 members of Na'Vi. In fact, this time they're holding front door. They left that open last time, and that is why secretly suffered. But here, there is 2. Sloth Crouch walking his way up main stairs, a complete and utter change in tack, but they heard him shoot the cam, and sure enough, Blur gets the kill. Smokes off main stairs to stop anyone running up, and sure enough, Benja is now pinned at the bottom. The question is, does he come around with the shotgun? Yes, he will. Not even aware he's there. It's the freest kill of the day for Blur. A 5 versus 2 for Na'Vi, and they've started their own resurgence in this game, Ace, from 5-2 potentially up to 6-5. That has been one hell of a swing.
I'm really excited by this site. I can't wait to have a look back at it in more depth afterwards and see just exactly where everybody is and how all the cogs are interacting with each other. And it's always fascinating when those things happen. Now then, shots come in from Saves. He knows the man is there, finds the kill. Flawless round for Na'Vi, almost easy at the end of round 11 there. We're going to max regulation. We're going to see all 12 rounds, but Na'Vi will be the ones, after suffering 5 round losses back to back, Des. Somehow, they are the ones with the opportunity to shut this down and take the full 3 points. The best Cowana can hope for now is an overtime win.
I love how we've just seen the evolution of both teams on the defenses. Like, look back at round one, the Thunderbird 3-person roam coming out from Cowana. We're like, well, that failed. They played it again later. It succeeded. For Na'Vi, with the Baron stage, they made it work, but it looked a little bit scrappy at points where the front door was exposed. There was only one man on the ground floor. Look at it again here. There's a man on front door. There's more support coming from main stairs. And they just removed that pressure opportunity from Cowana by putting the pressure back on them. It has been that wonderful game of chess where between games, the players have gone away and thought about it and gone, okay, what has got to change this time round? And they've had the answer every single time. It's beautiful to watch. It's nail-bitingly close, and Cowana have got one last chance to make this work. Otherwise, Na'Vi pull off an incredible reverse sweep and take this 1-7-5.
The mirror windows here on CCTV and Cash that have been played on that East breach have been pretty pivotal so far today, Des. We've seen it a couple of times. The mirror window goes on, it gets smashed by the attackers, it gets opened up by the defenders, and at that point, we haven't yet seen an attacking side be confident enough to go and really get that wall open, at least early in the right. You know, it's been late that they've been playing there, thinking about it. It's been decisive because they've then had to rotate over to the construction side, and once the defenders know that is happening, all attention switches towards that side, and it's just been too tough of a nut for the attackers to crack. So the question is, how much do they double down? How much pressure do they apply to that east wall this time around?
What I'd love to see is a really heavy commitment just to take Garage. Say, I don't care that you've got 3 ADSs in there. I don't care you've put 2 Thunderbird Kona stations in there. I don't care you might have 1 or 2 people holding it. We're coming for you on the fight. And sure enough, again, you're going to see this opened up. They've got 6 Pokeballs in back pocket, the perfect number if you've ever played the old games, just to deal with anyone trying to get through this wall. We spoke about it before. Maverick steps up, yeet 3 or 4 at him, he will die. They go for the exothermic, you chuck 1 out, it's enough to remove the exothermic. So sure enough, it looks like Garage is going to be the play. They don't want to get shoehorned into going towards construction. They want control of Garage.
Secretly takes a few pot shots as the Maverick tries to dash his way across the garage door there and will not connect with any. But as you say, there is a real taste, there is a real hunger here from Cowana to take over Garage. Now Doki just roaming his way about the map once again. He's going to have himself a little look here, and now he gets his warning shots not to take another glance, but this is Doki, and he certainly he thinks about it, exposes himself massively there, finds himself left with only 2 or 3 hit points, needs to try and get himself back to sight and in range of one of those corner stations if at all possible. Secretly here,
he wants the juice,
trying to hold on, he wants it. He's just trying to hold on to Garage for as long as possible.
He really wants the second Kona station injection, I think. There we go, back up to full HP. How about that after being down to basically 20 HP? Beautiful stuff, and now has basically got a full reset on his hold. Doki, not quite getting as much as he'd like, I'm sure, only about an extra 30, but secretly finally gets put down. Doki too! They're the 2 big picks they needed. Suddenly it's 5 versus 3, make it even worse. In fact, 1 gets back up, so it's not the end of the world, and Blur neutralizes things out. 4 versus 3. Cowana, 50 seconds on the clock. They have got Garage control, and that is the big difference maker in this round.
It certainly could be, but this is definitely winnable for Na'Vi from here as well. They're just going to keep falling back now. They won't contest Garage too heavily. They just want to try and let their utility do the work. They've still got a Nitro in the hands of Nath. You see him getting himself juiced up with the extra hit points there. We've got the impact nade coming out. It's not going to be successful in the angle that it opens up. The kills start raining in. The Nitro's gone. The final one is down, and Cowana, they take us to overtime.
The one big difference in that round, we spoke about it, Garage control. You can either accept what's been set up and take the path of least resistance and go through cash, but they tried that earlier on and it didn't work and said, right, we're going to have to make things a bit hard for ourselves. We're going to have to push our way into Garage. Once they've got that Garage control, you can get cash open and the round plays out as normally. It was a really big call for Cowana to say we need to make this work and we're going to go for it, but it pays off. Overtime is where we go, and Na'Vi with that tactical timeout still in the back pocket opt to say now is the time to decide what are we going to do. We had this massive comeback win streak. It's up at 6-6. Now we need to think about what we're going to do. How are we going to surprise them here? Because we've seen Cowana looked a little bit lost at points on the attack. Bar and Stage, they've struggled. The play coming out on the roam from the basement, struggled with that as well. Do Na'Vi stick to that and go for those plays again? Or have they got a twist here and bring out something different altogether?
Absolutely nail-biting stuff here that we find ourselves in. It's only Playday 2 days. This isn't even making decisions about things like who's qualifying for majors or who's heading for relegations or anything else yet. And yet, here we find ourselves on the absolute edge of our seat between Na'Vi and Cowana, both fighting tooth and nail for this result. It is 6-0. We are heading into overtime. So what that means is we will now have the best of 3 rounds. One of these 2 teams is going to have to find 2 victories. You would edge that Na'Vi maybe have a slight advantage in that they will be starting on the defence, and that is where we have seen sides come away 4-2 on their defensive half. So it could be a big positive for Na'Vi. They're going to take the downstairs to begin with. I mean, I thought they were pretty solid, Bar and Stage, Des, but they're going to try and lock down the basement to start things off.
I'll save that for round 15 because I think in Na'Vi's mind, the first time they tried this roam strat, 6 picking away the Maestro to the Vigil confirms it is basically identical to what we saw earlier on. The first time it was a little bit scattered, it wasn't quite there. The big adaptation they made last time round was sending Doki out on the roam with Nates. There was 2 of them up on the top floor causing trouble. That worked out way better. Let's not forget, they killed 5 drones, they wasted 90 seconds, and Cowana had no answer. But look at the adaptation on the other side. Gorgona going across to the Jackal. That just screams to me, we want to pincer out these roamers. We want to kill them before they get back to site and win with that numbers advantage. It's just, again, so fascinating watching that micro game of chess taking place every single round. I love it.
It is. It's move, it's counter move, it's that constant problem solving on the sides of both teams, and just getting to watch it all play out in front of us and see who is the better of the 2, who is the more adaptive now than Nath. Doki upstairs exactly as they were before. Can they hold on for as long, and more importantly, can they keep their lives? That is going to be the big question as the roam clearance begins. Once again, I pointed it out earlier, but Cowana doing very well with those drones just on a leash there ahead of them, and saves. He gets the drone, but he's going to be spotted out as well. He doesn't have an opportunity to push onto Benjameister, who gets in there quickly and gets a kill onto Nathan. That is a big opening for Cowana.
Massive for them as well to get yourself up into a spot like this and be able to kill the 1 player up on the top floor, shutting out the mirror. Beautiful stuff. We spoke about it, being able to get on those roamers and shutting them out was the game plan. Didn't even require the Jackal for that one, but they're still going to steamroll their way through the top floor just to make sure Doki has definitely found himself forced all the way back. And I think for a second it looked like there was someone coming in through the south window, but not to be the case. It's more about the fear, I think, of if he is still here, are we just going to get swung on by him?
Cavana's newest player in Benja has been a little bit quiet so far today, and that opening kill could be his big moment of this game. Now, Cowana reasonably confident, I think, at this point that they've got control over the top floor. Doki has indeed been forced away, but Doki is never forced away too far, as he always wants to keep himself aggressive and keep those attackers on the back foot. But finally, after 1 minute 30, he does find himself back down in the basement. So Cowana, first things first, it's time to recognise that you have uncontested control over top and middle floor. And then it's time to start thinking about exactly what you need to do. Hatchers need to get open. They need to get in position sooner than they did last time around, because it came down to that final 14 seconds where Doki was able to aggress into main corridor and kills just started raining down.
They've done the hard work of killing one of the roamers as well, and they've kept more of their drones alive than last time too, which is a great improvement compared to before. But I'm looking at this one and thinking, okay, boys, you had that 45 seconds ago and we're still kind of stalled out. A lot of drone work coming in. They got the kind of control of the map, and now it's about droning the site to figure out where everyone is. And there we go. Sloth with a wicked shot through onto Doki at the back. 5 versus 3. Have Cowana found the magic sauce, the magic recipe to get them over the finish line in round 13, Ace?
They've certainly got some of the ingredients, Des. It's all about just getting it cooking now and frying themselves up a treat. Sloth, he's looking to get established in blue. If he gets that kill, it's all over. Surely he gets it, but Then they start coming back. Blur and saves on site will not be stopped. It's one versus one. Benja versus Blur. Two big players who we know are both capable of winning in these situations. Benja takes advantage of that corner station, gets the extra HP. That could be big in the grand scheme of things. Blur, time is now or never. The diffuser's going down. He won't be able to stop it. Now then, Benja doesn't know to look over his shoulder and use the utility against them. 35 seconds here, and Blur, he needs to find his man, but he needs to do it with at least 7 seconds left to be able to disable that activated diffuser. Shots are exchanged. The corner stations come out and start picking up the extra HP. He needs to go in now and make this challenge. He needs to win it. It's Blur versus Benja. He's behind the boxes. I think Blur knows at this point he can pre-fire this. He moves around. He finds his man, and he's got the time on the clock. But can he find the diffuser? He's got 4 seconds. He needs to move quickly. He is just in time. Just in time, Des. Half a second to spare, and that is Na'Vi somehow grasping victory from the jaws of defeat. My heart, Des. My heart.
Blur's reaction, he was just like, no, hands over face. He knew that he nearly lost that one for the team. And Cowana, after coming out of the round against Empire last week with 0.016 seconds on the defuse time, have had their comeuppance a bit here, and it has now gone back against them. It was damn close, and really it felt like Na'Vi had no business winning that round. They were in a 2 versus 5, but him and Saves pull it off magically. Match point now. Na'Vi go on the attack, and they're attacking into the downstairs. Once more, a similar setup coming out for the side of Cowana. The same thing they've had for their top floor roam with 3 roamers. Let's see if they commit to that again, because it has been a bit risky for them, Ace.
I'm shaking after that round. That was absolutely unbelievable. Saves and Blur take a bow. But Na'Vi, they need to just calm things down very quickly, Des. There's going to have been a lot of energy in the camp after that round. I'm certain of it. There'll be a lot of sort of nerves in tatters at the minute, but they need to just think about business at hand. It's round number 14. This is their opportunity. They've got another match point in front of them. They weren't able to close it out in round 12. They find themselves this time on the attack, and they need to try and get this one done. They don't want to go to round 15 here. I'm sure in the back of their minds they're thinking, we've got bar and stage that we've not been beaten on yet. So they know they've got that one. That's in the tank. That's in the back pocket. But Na'Vi don't want to get there, and they're going to have to attack onto Church and Arsenal if they want to close this out.
Part of me I'm looking at and just thinking, you just know that Sloth loves playing in the rotate between these two sides. You've seen it now 2-3 times of him being sat around this position. If he finds himself back there again, they see him on a drone. That should be a freebie nade coming in from Secretly or from Doki to collect him. It can be as simple as 1, 2, 3. In this case here, it's Sloth looking to get a bit cheeky as this wall gets opened up there, literally trying to squeeze all the juice out of that lemon that was the West window to see who he could find.
Big.
Secretly finding the opener onto Gorg.
Very big. We know how good a game Gorgona has had. Been really influential inside of this Cowana team, and Secretly is able to get in and shut the man down. That is about as big as the entry kills will come. They're going to be certainly looking towards Sloth now. 11 and 9 on the day and going well. Can he see the man through the drone hole? Just not quite. Now then, the nade comes in, but it's going to be Benja who really does the damage, finding a kill onto Doki. Saves, however, finds Sloth, and that is another nail in the coffin for Cowana here.
Wasn't playing close enough behind that gym equipment. His backpack sticking out, I think, and got himself shot and put down into the dirt. 4 versus 3 for Na'Vi, and still so much time to play with. When you look down the list of what they've still got on side, sure, they've lost a good number of drones. You'll give that to Cowana, but you'll take the 4 versus 3 that you're currently selling with 100 seconds to clear the round. Grizzly could be the difference maker. If they don't drone him out, though, and they try and push their way down Oil or Blue, he could be massive on the flank for Cowana.
Certainly could be. He was very tempted by a little run out there, and just that attention that's been paid towards Garage Door tells me that Na'Vi are aware of his presence, and the fact that Grizzly takes that time to drop down the oil pit and get himself back to site, I think he got drawn there, and it's a smart decision. So now 3 versus 4, 1:10. There's an absolute age here left for Na'Vi. They've got the utility that they need. The only player that they've lost is the Iana. Of course, the fragging capability, the fragging capacity of Doki is always a big loss, but in terms of utility, not the end of the world. They've still got nades available on Maverick. They've got the hard breach that they need. They've got all the tools at their disposal to win this one. 45 seconds. It's now This is your moment, Na'Vi.
I'm just thinking, don't be lazy with this Mav. No, he's doing it properly as well. But if this pops open, he might just about see the head because they know where he is as well. Does he see the man first? He sees him through the cracks and secretly wins the reverse. Grizzly's gone down. It's a 4 versus 2 with 30 seconds to play. This should be enough. But they've got to pick up Benja. They've got to pick up Anarchic. They're the last two that stand between Na'Vi and yet another win in what has been an historic UK showdown, as it has always been. Benja finds one onto Sace. It's been quiet, as you say, but that's a big kill to pick up. 10 seconds, rotates his way out towards Moto. Can he get on the backside here as well? So they're going down main. They're going to plan. He's rotated round. It's a triple for Benja. Can he hold on? He's the last man. It's a 1 versus 1 again. Blur has no idea. Benja, the new boy, has just won it for Cowana. We're going to 15.
Unbelievable turnaround for Cowana there. Benja on the flank through Moto, and an essential kill onto the man, planting inside of the Astro spot, and that was the moment that Na'Vi's fortunes fell apart. The whole round was just tipped upside down there and then, and Cowana, well, don't they just respond to saves and Blur? Anything you can do, we can do better, and we are going all the way. This time, Na'Vi, they're choosing on the defence not to go to bar and stage that we saw them very successful on. They're going to go to gym and bedroom now. If I have a look back through, we saw it in round 8, we saw it in round 11. Both were Na'Vi wins, so just as good as bar and stage. But this one now, the pressure is really on.
It's one of those where, you know, and everyone was saying, oh, you know, Benja needs a bit of time, hasn't got tons of experience, skilled player, but give him time, he'll build experience the more he plays.
I don't think he needs that much time.
I was about to say that right there. Now, look, there's always a risk associated with, is there a flank drone watching this? But to me, that was conscious. They know they killed so many drones out on the roam, they kept Na'Vi down to a limited amount of information that he could make such a big play like that. Someone's watching the flank, there's a flank drone, that whole play is nullified. There is nothing that he can do about it. But that is huge. On your second Playday, your first one to drop almost 20 kills, your second to come in with a big, potentially match-saving play like that. If this round is won, they will be singing Benja's praises after this game. Guarantee it.
The thing is now, if Cowana go on to win this, you're going to say that's the pivotal moment. That is the one that won it for them.
There have been many.
Obviously, I'm not clairvoyant. I don't know what's going to happen within this round. Somebody could get a 1v5, and then you'd say that won it. But the likelihood is that that is going to be the moment.
It's the significance of it.
It just breaks the spirit.
It's a 4 versus 2 for Na'Vi. There's 40 seconds left on the clock, and you just think, there's no way they can win that. There is no way they clutch this out with just the 2 remaining.
Back-to-back rounds like that as well, though.
Oh, they make it happen. It's written in storybooks. It's that kind of play. And now we're in round 15. I don't know which way to call it. 4 and 2 has been the hardest. We've seen defenders have generally come out on top. But with how mental those last 2 rounds have been, 1v1s between both Benja and Blur, each winning one down to the clock, one with an amazing, risky flank. It's impossible to call how round 15 plays.
Grizzly just missing his blowtorch line across the bottom of the east wall a little bit there. I think he's actually just opening up, I'm not sure if he's just opening up a line of sight or not on the east wall. Maybe looking to clear out utility. They've got the hard breach of Anarchic. I mean, it's always a risk once that Maverick hole's been opened at the bottom to try and go up and put an exothermic on there. We'll see what happens with that east wall. Not too sure. We've got the logistics hatch opened up. Nothing completely opened up by the Maverick. Anarchic is over on the hot tub wall, which I would imagine will be open momentarily. 1 minute 30 left to go. Honestly, Des, you can just feel the tension.
I'm so nervous.
You can feel the tension inside of the server. One mistake is all this is going to take. Or one hero play.
Or that. Or one big hero play at that as well. Don the cape. Get yourself flying because this game needs the Superman. That's the one that might help them from below. It's only a down. It's not a finish off, so saves could be rezzed here. I tell you what, if there's even a few more pixels difference, that could have been 2 kills and a massive start for Benja. Sees the man run across, but no. Saves is back on his feet, but he is battered and bruised, down at 20 HP. 1 bullet in pretty much every situation should be enough to see him finished off. We're down to that final minute, though, and this is where things get particularly dicey. Nath finds Gorgona. That's the kind of kill that you want, as he's had a brilliant game so far.
That's big from Nathan. That just holds them off that hot tub wall for a few extra seconds now. Then In's coming a nade, and it will catch the wall. It doesn't make its way through, and Nath has the opportunity to duck away, and that's exactly what he's going to do. But Grizzly does find Secret, levels things up. 4 versus 4. 30 seconds left to go. Sloth pushing in, low health. It's only going to take 1 bullet, but he finds the man as he comes back through the rotation. Doki steps up, but it's 2 kills the other way. 3 versus 2. The diffuser's going down. Kick. He can stick this. It's 2 versus 2. Na'Vi, they now have to go on the retake. We see the man drop underneath. So there is a man in the pool table shut down by a Narkic on the rotate. It's all up to Doki. He's the talisman of Na'Vi. Can he be the saviour? Is he going to stick this? He's certainly going to try. I think he might know. He comes off. He manages to get one, but shut down as Grizzly comes in with an essential challenge. And just like Playday 1, Cowana are able to snatch it at the very, very end.
We speak about our hearts. Cowana, after 2 weeks, 30 rounds, some not even funny level of close rounds along the way. Unbelievable. The whole game comes down to a 1 versus 1 between Doki and Grizzly connects. I could watch the 15 rounds of that. That was amazing.
You can't keep doing this to us, Cowana. Imagine this for another 7 weeks. That's unbelievable. I mean, the Empire game, you looked at it and they fought to. The Cowana are just showing, or you know, this new iteration of Cowana are just showing unreal levels of resilience. They got 5 rounds in a row. They were 5-2 up and they got brought back to overtime. You could understand a team being beaten up and battered after that, but no, they just knuckled down and got it done. Unreal. Unreal.
What more is there to say? There are plenty of people who have got lots to say. Milos, over to you guys.
Heart attack inducing, I gotta say, 2